So we are continuing with our series as we solve the 2025 AP CSA FRQ problems. So this question is question 3. If you haven't seen my other videos where I go over question 1, part A and B, and question 2, make sure to go back and watch those. But today we're going to be talking about question 3. So this question is a little bit more involved. So we're going to, and this also has multiple parts as well. So let's go ahead and start reading it and jumping right into it. So this question involves essentially competitors in a tournament, and they're going to be going and doing one-on-one matches for every round of the tournament. So we have a chess tournament. We have the competitors who are individual chess players. We have a game of chess that have two players in a match, and then the winner of each match goes on to a match in the next round of the tournament. And then half of the players are eliminated in each round, and we'll eventually have a final round consisting of one match and two competitors. So that's a lot, but all that means is that we have a couple of different classes that they're going to give us. We have a competitor class, a match class, and a round class. So competitor class is going to have two instance variables, name and rank, and then it's going to have a constructor and then some other things that are not shown, but they do not matter for our purposes. We also have a match class that also has a constructor, but that also does not matter for our purpose. And then finally, we have a round class, and this is actually going to be where we're going to be implementing our particular methods. So the round class has an instance variable called competitor list, and it is an array list of competitors, so that previous class up above. This will have a constructor as well as a build matches method. So we're going to actually be writing both of these in both part A and part B. So let us take a look at part A. So part A, we're going to be actually writing the constructor for this, the round class. Constructor, it should initialize competitor lists to basically contain one competitor object for each name in the string array called names. The order in which they appear in competitor lists should be the same as the order in which they appear in our array. And the rank of each competitor will be based on the position that they are in the names variable. And so it says that the names are listed in order from best rank, with rank being number 1, to worst ranked, with rank being n, or however many elements there are in this list. And then it gives us a brief example just to make it a little bit easier for us to understand. So we have an array, string array called players that has the names Alex, Ben, and Kara. When we initialize this and pass players into round, this is what it's going to actually output right here. We notice that Alex is first. He's the first element, so 0 element. However, his rank is 1. Ben is the second element, so index 1, but his rank is 2. And this is what we're going to be creating. So let's dive in and take a look as to what this would look like. Okay, so I have a stub again, essentially creating all of the classes that they gave us, the round class. Inside of it, I have the competitor class and the match class, just so I can actually reference it. And then I define my instance variable competitor list here that we're going to actually be using in our method here. So what we're going to be implementing is this constructor here. Let's indent this. So we're going to be implementing this constructor here called round, and it does take in an array of strings called names. So the very first thing that we want to go ahead and do, let's also indent this. The very first thing that we want to do, we mentioned that the order in which they appear, but we also have to determine their rank. Now the rank is going to start at 1. That's going to be our lowest. So we can just go ahead and create a variable that will represent rank, and we can initialize it to 1. Now we know that we have to iterate through every element in the names array. So we can do that. You can use a regular for loop. In my case, I will use an enhanced for loop because I don't necessarily care about the index, right? So I will just use an enhanced for loop, make it a little bit shorter, but you can also use a regular for loop, whatever you prefer, as long as you are essentially iterating through all the elements in this array. And now for this, essentially the next thing, right, we are going to be inserting competitor objects, right? That means that we need to actually instantiate a competitor object for each name. So how do we do that? We use the new keyword. We specify something called competitor. I will simply call on the competitor constructor that we were given up above. And the parameters are going to be the name. So this is going to be the name that I get from this names array. And then the rank, right? So the very first one will have rank 1. It will be the best. And then every subsequent one after that, rank will essentially increase. So once we have our competitor object, we can actually go ahead and insert it into our array list using the add method, right? And we can pass in C. And then we need to make sure that we increment rank so that the next time when we come back around, rank will actually be increased by 1, right? Meaning that we are now getting to not as good as the previous, so they won't be ranked as high as the previous. And in this case, now we are going to iterate through all of the elements in the string array while also inserting the correct rank. You also can just kind of skip this and do it directly inside of here. That is what you prefer. But I typically like setting it equal to a variable just to make it a little bit easier. So this is the first part where we went through the constructor, part A. So let me know in the comments if you got this correct, or maybe if you did it a different way. And I will catch you in the next video where we will actually be tackling part B